There were a couple major stories that popped up in gaming over the weekend that I want to update you all on, one of which actually has to do with Sony and why you may need to watch this upcoming PlayStation Showcase event on September 9th. And then the other big talking point for today's video is Sonic Colors for the Switch was released early, and we have to talk about some of the game-breaking glitches that you may face if you plan on picking up this game. What's up, nation? If it's your first time on the channel, make sure you join Sunbro Nation by subscribing below. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. As I mentioned, guys, we're covering a couple different stories today, one of which is actually not about the Nintendo Switch, surprisingly. As you know, I primarily talk about Nintendo here on Sunbro Nation, the channel, but I do love the PS5 and everything it has to offer, and I've definitely been a long-term Sony fan. I mean, really, I didn't play it back on the PS1 and PS2 days, but the PS3 brought me over, and since then, I have gotten every generation of the PlayStation consoles as they have released, and the reason I want to talk about them today is the fact that we obviously know, while we're waiting for this long-awaited and rumored September Nintendo Direct, we do know that Sony is going to be holding their major showcase event that they actually have not held a official PlayStation Showcase for over a full year now, since September in 2020, which is when we got big reveals like the PS5 price point and a bunch of different gameplay trailers, and it was a stacked full show. And it does appear that this next showcase, which is coming up on September 9th, is set to be a stacked presentation. And if you guys have any interest in series like God of War, Horizon Forbidden West, or just other classic Sony first-party titles that we maybe have not seen installments for in quite some time, I want to put this on your guys' radar to watch out for this, because, you know, in the event that we don't get a Nintendo Direct this week, which I'm still holding out hope for, that we get some kind of announcement from Nintendo tomorrow, but if tomorrow comes and goes, it's not looking likely that we will see it this week, and it would most likely be the next week in that case. But at least either way, we will have a PlayStation Showcase to look forward to, and I want to quickly hop over to VGC, where there is an article that basically outlines who's talking about this and why they're hyping it up as it could be a major event, and I want to share it with you guys briefly. PlayStation's upcoming showcase won't disappoint fans looking for the traditional great first-party PlayStation, a former senior developer has claimed. That's according to the God of War creator and Twisted Metal co-creator David Jaffe, who claimed in a video stream on Friday that he'd heard that the PlayStation's first-party studios would be there with flying colors during the September 9th event. He's quoted here saying, "I'm not going to tell you what's going to be there, and I don't know everything, but I know a handful of things, and you won't be disappointed if you're looking for their traditional great first-party PlayStation. That's going to be there with flying colors, and I'm excited to see the people's response to it. I haven't even seen what I'm talking about, but I'm very proud and excited for all of Sony's people." Jaffe, who directed the first two God of War games, wouldn't confirm if the sequel to 2018's God of War was planned to appear during next week's showcase, but heard that he'd claimed that it was aiming to contain 40 hours of content. He's quoted here saying, "People are speculating that God of War Ragnarok, or whatever they're going to call it, is going to be there. I'm not saying it is or isn't. I don't know anything about that," he said. "What I will tell you is that I'm hearing from people in the know that the game is 40 hours. They are aiming for 40 hours of gameplay." So that news piece just got me really hyped for this week, as I think we will have a lot of exciting announcements and gaming news to look forward to. And someone as myself, where probably my favorite first-party Sony franchise, honestly, is God of War, outside of, if you could call Bloodborne that, because it's exclusive to PlayStation. But, you know, I'm a huge Souls fan, and I'm a huge God of War fan, and I do even like series like Horizon, and this recent Spider-Man games have been incredible. Like, there's a lot to play through and enjoy on Sony's first-party titles, but I am very excited to see what we're going to potentially see unveiled at this event. It's great to hear that Ragnarok may be at least 40 hours worth of gameplay content, but I would love to hear from you guys in the comments if, you know, you play the PlayStation besides just your Switch, if you own one currently, whether it be a PS4 or a PS5, and if you're going to be watching this PlayStation Showcase when it drops this week on September 9th. And then from there, we really have to talk about some unfortunate news for a major Nintendo Switch title, you know, that is multi-platform, but that the Switch is just clearly seeing issues with. And this really comes down to Sega and them just truly dropping the ball with Sonic Colors Ultimate, which was of course, original port from a Wii title that was very well received by the fans, but was only playable on the Wii. So this was a pretty big deal to bring it to all platforms. But you have to keep in mind that the Switch fan base was really the one that was ordering this the most and were the most pumped for it. And I was initially a little bit let down when I found out that this game would be running at 30 FPS as opposed to 60 FPS like it would be on the other platforms. Then I had to ask myself, would I rather get this game and be able to take it with me portably, or would I rather have that extra FPS boost? Because in a game like Sonic, where you're moving fast and things are flying past you, that FPS difference is going to be extremely noticeable. well, I was still kind of leaning towards potentially getting it on the Switch even after that news had broke. And now, unfortunately, it looks like if I'm going to get this game at all, I might as well get the PS4 version and play it on my PS5, because they are having game-breaking glitches right out of the gate. If you guys haven't heard already, Sega essentially released a deluxe edition of this game that you could get digitally for $5 extra, and you would have early access to the game, which it is slated to officially release tomorrow, which is September 7th at the time of filming this video. And while, you know, you can argue that this game is maybe in its what you would call early access, they did not intend for these glitches to take place. And there's even kind of some dodginess going on, because apparently there were some videos that were out there floating around on the glitches side of things that were from emulators on PCs. And Sega's kind of like in one of their PR statements was stating that some of those glitches are from that. But guys, at this point, there's enough footage out there of these things happening on the Nintendo Switch version of the game, and Game Explained did a fantastic video covering it, but it's clearly broken even on Switch hardware. And this was something that, you know, for all the Sonic fans waiting, we're probably most likely going to pick it up on the Nintendo Switch, especially if they have nostalgia for the Wii version. And it's just really disappointing to see Sega drop the ball here. Now, part of the problem could simply come down to the fact of who they hired to actually port this game, because they hired a infamous studio by the name of Blind Squirrel Games that does not have a good track record with porting over titles at all, as they were responsible for the port of WWE 2K18 to the Nintendo Switch. And if you guys don't remember, that game was flawed and broken from the ground up, and they still release it. You know, that's the big problem, is like, if you have to delay the game, that's one thing, but if you release it in a broken state, that is what people will always remember, unfortunately. As you know, Cyberpunk 2077 is a perfect example. We're still waiting to get patches to make that game fully playable, especially on the last generation hardware when that game was originally being developed for that hardware. And when you say that name now, and people were hyped for it before, they immediately associate it with problems. And that's unfortunately what is most likely going to happen here with Sonic Colors on the Nintendo Switch, as these stories have been blowing up everywhere. And there's just like some crazy next level glitches. Like, it's not just like, oh, there's dropping some frames, or, you know, maybe your character model flickers a little bit. Like, the entire stages are losing their entire graphical textures. There's going back to like wireframes and crazy like trippy lighting sections that I wouldn't even recommend watching if you're prone to seizures or anything like that. I mean, it is serious stuff. And this is something that, you know, is really just unacceptable in this day and age in gaming, because you put things through Q&A. If you are a gaming studio, you don't just release it unbug checked. You know, if there's enough people actually reporting these issues on the Nintendo Switch, it's not a Nintendo Switch problem. And that's one thing that I do want to stress with this, is like, we have games like Breath of the Wild running on the Switch, which is like a giant open world undertaking. We even have another perfect example that came out recently of a Wii port, which is Skyward Sword HD, which I think I can argue is a much harder port to pull off than something like Sonic Colors Ultimate was. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's just, unfortunately, the developer dropped the ball at the end of the day, and Sega's really responsible for it, as they hired this team. And, you know, the buck kind of stops with them on this one. And Sonic is one of those franchises that I have a ton of nostalgia for, and I wanted to see this game come out and do great, and actually, you know, expose a lot of fans that did not have the opportunity to play this game the first time around to a great Sonic experience in kind of more of the 3D/2D type of world that we have seen Sonic struggle with historically. And this is one of the good games that deserved a good port on the Nintendo Switch, and it's just really disappointing at the end of the day to see Sega drop the ball with this one. Now, my hope for this going forward is that they can quickly get some patches together, and hopefully before tomorrow, which is crazy. I mean, you know, who knows if they even know where the root of these issues are coming from, but if they can, by some miracle, pull out a patch before tomorrow, maybe it will still be worth getting this game at release. But for the time being, if you're exclusively on the Nintendo Switch and you are interested in the Sonic Colors, I would highly advise just to wait for this game to go on sale, or at least just keep your eyes and ears tuned to when Sega officially announces this much needed patch that I'm sure they will deliver. We even had one of their social media managers take to Twitter and basically state that, you know, they're aware of the claims and all of the different issues that people are having, and they're looking into a patch. But it's like, you guys got to kick it into high gear, and you're going to have to probably fire Blind Squirrel Studios at the end of the day and just use other people for ports going forward on the Nintendo Switch, because between their track record with WWE 2K18 and now the Sonic Colors Ultimate port, when games are this broken, it just looks terrible on the company, and unfortunately it looks terrible on Sega at the end of the day. But I would, at this point in the video, guys, love to hear from you on all your thoughts and opinions on everything we talked about today. Are you interested in the PlayStation Showcase that's happening on September 9th? Will you be watching it? And what games are you hoping to see from the showcase? And then the big talking point is, were you planning on getting Sonic Colors Ultimate? Does this new news around the glitches and everything that's happening on the Switch version basically deter you from that, and maybe now you're not going to get it, or you're just going to wait and see if it goes on sale or if Sega eventually fixes the issues that are happening with the game right now? So please share all your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below before you do leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. I do truly appreciate you all sticking around until the end. I do at this point in the video want to invite you all one more time to join Sunbro Nation if you haven't done so already. Do so by subscribing below, hit the like button on your way out if you enjoyed it today, and make sure you turn on your bell notification icon so you're kept up to date with all the newest gaming news. That's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Sunbro Nation, out.